Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going fantastic and your journey to self-betterment is going better than fantastic as well. Today, I wanted to talk about something very important. As this topic really surrounds around what many of us call societal narcissism, or the surge we've seen in narcissism in our society. And it goes back to peeling the layers back and understanding these layers and how and why things are happening. So you can avoid dealing with narcissists in your one-on-one dealings with people. And so you can see the tricks that are being played on you on a greater level in society. And so you don't fall prey to this type of narcissistic way of thinking and being. Just because society is saying it's normal. Because as the Bible teaches us, we would get to a point in time where good would be called bad. And bad would be called good. And the reason for that is narcissism, and narcissists have figured out a way to wiggle their way into the lives of most people. And through television, movies and social media. Here's an example. There are many original rappers that used to be involved in criminal activities. And when interviewed, most of them say the same thing. They watched the movie Scarface and they felt like they could become successful in that world. Even though Scarface met a pretty terrible demise at the end of the movie. Still and yet, it was filmed in such a way that a great many that watched it, if they were impressionable and they had little home guidance, they were drawn in by the glamour and the excitement of what was happening. So much so, they ignored the negatives shown in such a movie. My reasoning for telling you this is, no matter if the maker of Scarface intended this outcome to happen, thousands if not millions of young people chose a life of crime after watching this movie. The fact though it might not have been intentional, there was a big impact on a great many that watched it. That led many down a road to lead a criminal life. I and you can watch such a movie today, and might see the evil and the downfall of many. But even before we learned about narcissism and how people think like we have, we too might have gotten a jolt of excitement from watching such a movie. Even though we know such things in such a movie are terrible and wrong. So with this example, we now know it's possible to shape someone's thoughts and the direction someone's life might go, just by them going to see one movie, let alone hundreds of hours of television and other media. What do you think will happen when you have certain messages pumped into society on how they meaning the movie makers and television producers, how they want you to see what their vision of a relationship is like, or should be like, or whatever you would like to call it? That's right. You are going to have millions of people watching such content, and then acting it out in their own lives to only end up with terrible results in most cases. And the reason why is most of what we see in television and in social media on what a relationship is supposed to be like, it's almost always based on money, materialism and selfishness. You see, I've talked about the Fresh and Fit show before. I from time to time watch it because I like to keep my finger on the pulse of what is happening around me. And one time they had, I believe, ABBA from the ABBA and Preach show as a guest. And for those of you that don't know much about the Fresh and Fit show, they have a bunch of Instagram models and OnlyFans content producers to talk about what they want in a man in a relationship. And 9 times out of 10, it almost always comes down to what they call the bag. Or how much money do you have? And usually the hosts of the show tell them that it's within their nature to be that way. So it's normal. However, here's this pitfall and that pitfall, so forth and so on. However, when ABBA was a guest on this show, He stopped the conversation for a moment. And he said, I hear what all of you are saying here. And none of it has anything to do with survival. Or needs. It's all based on ugly greed and excess. You see. When you hear this show host or that show host on YouTube and other platforms say, oh, it's human nature or whatever for this behavior and that behavior. What they are missing is God's hand in our lives, so we do our best to get away from this evil thinking and not do people wrong. And so we don't do people dirty. And without God. Yes. Men and women can do some really terrible things. But there was a time where I believe in society this was a known thing. Meaning by those that were trying to shape society. And believe it or not, those even in ancient times knew in order to keep people in line, they had to have a set of societal rules. In order to keep by and large families together. So they could produce. And if they could produce and people by and large got along, the kingdom, so to speak, would grow. But if you want a kingdom to be destroyed or go down the tubes, you slowly start to pump that society with corruption, evil, metaphoric backstabbing, and call it all normal and empowering. You see, there was a time where no matter if the man or woman walked out on their family, they were considered the lowest of the low. Now, did people still say they were going out to get a carton of milk and they would be right back? Both the husband and the wife? Yes. It happened. So much so we have that as a saying. But it didn't happen so much that the society would go under. Why? Because it was pushed in movies, television and the media. That this kind of behavior wasn't empowering. That it was terrible. Thus not as many people acted on such things. Now, why is all of this important? And how does this relate to the topic of today's video? Narcissists are never satisfied, a red flag many sadly ignore. Well, you see, a great many of us got into a relationship with someone we thought was the best person on earth. Someone that we felt like appreciated us and the time we spent with them. Now this is key. So please pay attention. When we met this person, we thought, wow, this person really is so cool. I took them to a nice but basic meal. Nothing wildly expensive. Very moderately priced. And we walked on the beach afterwards. Maybe we went for a drive to the lake. You went to the movies maybe. Simple and basic things. And we thought, wow, this person is really here for me. You're having fun. They seem to be having fun. And they seem to appreciate you as a person and the time they spend with you. Then something happens. It's the thing I've talked about before. The narcissistic do-do test. They seem to start a fight or argument with you for little to no reason at all. Maybe you are 5 minutes late to pick them up to go to dinner because of traffic. And when they get into the car, they are screaming at you at the top of their lungs. They might even accuse you of cheating on them as your reason for being 5 minutes late. And there's something that typically also gets brought up against you. And that is that you are somehow not doing enough in the relationship. That you are somehow not doing enough. Spending enough. Or from what they say, putting in enough effort. And you are confused. Just last week, they seemed just fine. When you were walking on the beach with them holding hands, they seemed too happy to be there with you. And today they are accusing you of not caring about them enough. And that you aren't putting in enough effort into the relationship. Which at the end of the day usually comes down to how much money you are spending or not spending. Or even how much time you are or aren't spending with them. And if you go down that road, which I suggest you don't, with trying to debate with them about all of the things you've done, they will cut them down to pieces as if they were just dirt on the bottom of their shoe. The problem is, most people fail this narcissist do-do test. And they end up with such a toxic person. No matter if they are a real deal narcissist or if they are just a narcissist light that is acting out what they watched in their favorite television show. Or they are acting out what they are witnessing their friends do. But regardless, we've ended up with such people. Because the first 6 months or year, where they seemed to be appreciative with us and our lives. We grew attached and we bonded to them. We really bonded to them. And when we got called out for not doing enough, instead of thinking rationally, our brains went into protect mode to keep this person around us that made us at one time feel so good. So we debate with them about all of the things we did, listing them all out like as if they don't know, and almost begging and pleading with this person to believe our position in the relationship. And all this says to this person is they've bought a sucker. They've got a sucker that they can now punish and do with as they want. And this relationship that has this happen at month 6. This relationship can end up going 5, 10 and even 20 years longer. With the end result of them discarding you. And leaving you broke with no friends. No life and no nothing. All because you bit the hook with the fake worm on it called "You aren't doing enough for me. So prove it now or else." Here's the thing. If you ever have this happen to you, don't say anything. Let them yell and scream. If you can walk away, do it. If you can't because you are stuck in a car, hopefully you have a camera able to record what is happening for your safety. Slow things down in your mind and know this person was never content. It was all an act. And it was all fake. And I will say this. I might have been real for some. But it's possible they went to talk with their friends and their friends put this junk in their minds. And now they are taking it out on you. Either way, it's not your problem. Don't explain yourself. You might just say after you collect yourself, "I respectfully disagree with you. However, you are entitled to your opinion about things. It looks like we aren't such a good fit. I think we shouldn't be together as you are looking for someone other than me that might be a better fit for you." And just leave it at that. Nothing more needs to be said. Because I have never seen anyone get on that metaphoric bicycle trying to prove their worth to another person ever get the credit they were hoping to get. They are either still pedaling away to this day, or the person they got on this bike for left them high and dry, taking the bike and everything that came with the bike with them. And on this Fresh and Fit show where ABBA said, "This is about greed and excess. You could live just fine if your husband made $50,000 a year and you made $50,000 a year. What's the problem here?" The problem is though movies and television shows and other media has shown an image over and over to screw people over, even the person you said "I love you" to, for what they call the bag and the money they think that is in this bag. And it's never enough. It's never enough. And just like you are on that bicycle pedaling away hoping to make this person happy, which will never happen. They themselves will never be happy with what they get out of someone. And they will always be looking for someone with something better and something more. More of what they can take for themselves. I think these podcasts need to call out the truth. Yes. Certain human nature can be greedy and evil. As even the Bible talks about. As the earth was flooded for such things. But God gives us His word to put us on the narrow path of life. A path of love and decency. Yes. You might have a little bit of a boring life. But you at least have a life. Is having an exciting life worth having your family being fractured and ruined? Many regret such choices when they get older, as they now see the life scam that was played on them. Much like these rappers see how they were influenced by one movie to enter into a life of crime that landed them in the prison system. Look, the narcissists that run the show don't want you to have a successful family and life. Because they make billions. Yes. Billions on broken people's lives. And the simple truth is all you can do is control yourself. If you make $100,000 a year, do not lead with your money in friendships or dating relationships. And if you make an average salary of $50,000 a year, You're not some no-good lowlife. You're a responsible person. And it's not your job to break yourself proving running yourself into the ground to make more money just to hand it over to someone else. If you want to make more money, don't do it to prove you are a better person to someone else. To someone evil. However, make more money because you simply want to make more money. You see, this red flag in narcissism is so important. It's the one that if we could have seen it for what it is, both men and women, we could have cut our losses and moved on. But we didn't. We didn't. We got on that bicycle to try to prove we loved them. We cared for them. And we were willing to spend more money than the next person. And we did it all for nothing. They still cheated on us anyways. And likely they were doing that all along. And they discarded us at the end of the day, leaving us broke and alone. So if this is you, and you are in such a situation, please slow things down. Don't react. Politely send them on their way. If they come calling on you, be too busy to hang out with them again. And just move on with your life. With that said, that's all I have for today. And I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.